Hey, good morning, everybody. 10:27 right now on Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Grant Gilmore. See, some of you are saying, knock, 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 wake up. Yeah, we're here. Don't worry. I had a few other streams to get going here. So, got to give it a minute to get everything up and running. And alas, here we are to give you the latest on Nicole. So, I appreciate you, Kath, for making sure that our audio is working. Hopefully, you can hear us now. How you guys doing? Everybody faring okay out there? It's been kind of a nasty morning in many places across the Bay Area with Nicole moving through. Gusty conditions. We've gotten some wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. Just getting a couple of other reports in right now. And let's see, a buoy reporting some pretty strong wind speeds here. Let's see what we're getting here. 42 mile per hour wind gusts. I mean, consistent tropical storm force gusts coming out of these rain bands moving through really the entire Tampa Bay area. I'll show you a map in just a minute that looks at the tropical storm force wind gust reports. And I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? Nicole is a tropical storm. So let me run you through here. If you guys, I've got some comments running over here on the side. By all means, go ahead and leave a comment, question, any funny jokes. Those are always welcome as well. But let's get down to business here. Let me look at this. Update from the Hurricane Center at 10 o'clock. Trimmed some of the counties off of the tropical storm warning over the southern peninsula. They dropped the hurricane warnings earlier on this morning after landfall, so no longer hurricanes, so no more hurricane warnings either. But this tropical storm warning is probably going to last through the afternoon. Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins just woke up from his nap, and he's going to be getting ready for 10 Tampa Bay midday, so we'll do an update on 10 Tampa Bay on TV coming up at noon. But I do think into the afternoon, maybe even into our 5 and 6 o'clock newscast, we still might have tropical storm warnings in effect. I think after sunset tonight into the overnight, we'll start to lose those tropical storm conditions, though there's still going to be a concern for surge. We'll talk about surge in just a second. So looking at the wind gusts around the area, Tampa International Airport reporting wind gusts at 43 miles per hour, 32 in St. Petersburg. And if I just jump back to a second, let me look at some of the highest gusts that we've seen around the area. Tampa International reporting a wind gust of 54 miles per hour. St. Pete, Albert Whitted at 54 as well. Sarasota also seeing some gusts up around 54 miles per hour. So impressive wind gusts there. And we're likely going to see more of that. Let's switch over to the radar here. Look around the area. I've been impressed with how persistent these winds have been and these bands that have been setting up. Now, actually, this is interesting. This is just new. We haven't seen a lot of lightning in this system so far today, but you see, I'll make these icons a little bit bigger. Within the last 30 minutes, right where the center of the storm is, I'll pause this. The center of the storm is just north of Land O'Lakes, and several lightning strikes just coming down in between Land O'Lakes and Greenfield right now. So kind of there in Aaron Cutoff, just east of 41. There another lightning strike. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I don't think we see any rotation there. Let me switch over to the velocity mode. No, I mean, it's just gusty conditions. Pretty strong winds right now. Looking at some of the wind reports. Well, that's not accurate. Let me see. Let me clear this out. We'll switch conditions here. Just bear with me. Relative velocity. Let's see. Well, yeah, I mean 20, 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts finding in some of those storms near the center of Nicole. Let's switch it over here. A broader band. In fact, I don't even know if we can call this a band as much of just a large swath of the more moderate and heavy rainfall, and embedded within that, we're going to find some gustier conditions. In fact, I'll pause that right here. Probably looking at some stronger wind gusts lining up from Bel Air across Old Bay, across the Howard Franklin, and then into downtown Tampa. This looks to be an area right now that might be a little bit of a banding feature, with the center of the storm to the north, right there in Pasco County. But this banded area right there likely dealing with some gustier conditions on the order of 40 to 50 miles per hour, and that heavy rainfall as well. Zooming out a bit, this is what I was talking about with all the different tropical storm reports being those tropical storm force winds. So if I click on one of these, this one specifically was for Bel Air with a measured wind gust of 68 miles per hour. Let's see what else we can find here. I'll zoom in a little bit, just kind of give you a tour of the area and show you what we have. There, St. Pete, Clearwater, reporting a wind gust of 62 miles per hour. There's a buoy just east of the Sunshine Skyway Bridge that reported a wind gust of 40 miles per hour. That was at 8:18 this morning. And before that, there was a wind gust a little bit higher than that, upwards of 47 miles per hour. And that was right before they closed the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. And yep, it's still closed. We've got a camera that shows the bridge. It's weird to see the bridge without any cars going across it. Just a few other reports around the area, looking up towards Lando Lakes, wind gust of 46 miles per hour. That coming in at 8:40 this morning. And then farther east into Polk County, had some stronger wind gust reports there at 55 in, let's see, Lake Alfred, a little farther south into the Fort Meade area, 44 mile per hour wind gusts. So it's definitely been blown out there as these bands move through. The wind really picks up as well, and it really punches. It hits pretty hard when it starts to gust the way that it has been. And obviously pretty wet as well. Widespread rainfall totals estimated anywhere between 2 to 3 inches. If we throw on our query here, you can see St. Pete, southern Pinellas County, 2 inches of rain. There, western Manatee, 2 to 3 inches of rain. Starting to see the rain really accumulate in eastern Pasco County as well, 2 to 3 inches. So while there aren't any flash flood warnings in effect, there is actually a river flood warning. Let me see if I can show that to you guys real quick. Where is that? There we go. Take you down to the Little Manatee River in southwestern Hillsborough County. Had a flood warning up, and this flood warning is going to run until Saturday at 1. So looking at those levels rising up a little bit higher than flood stage, and just with the continued rainfall and then the runoff, so all the water is going to run off into the Little Manatee. We'll probably see those river levels run a little bit high for a little while longer into the first part of the weekend. So where is Nicole going? Well, it'll start to move away from us, but one thing that we'll see is there's a chance that it moves into the Gulf, and we're probably not going to see it strengthen when it moves into the Gulf, but that more westerly track with it will bring the potential for more of that water to be blown up into the coast. I'll show you a different map in a second, but once it moves northwest of the Nature Coast, the winds will really shift to the west and the southwest, and that will help push some of the water up into the coast. But you see, it's going to quickly dissipate, quickly weaken, and then rain itself out over the Appalachian Mountains, over North Carolina and Virginia through the day tomorrow. Here's the latest run of our graph model, which we call the Futurecast. And you can see what I was talking about there. And let me change the color on this telestrator, which will make it easier for you guys to see. Change it over to a white. And let's see. See how those winds start to come in out of the west and southwest? That's going to drive a lot of that water, at least onto the coast. Maybe not necessarily inland too far, but we could see 1 to 3 feet higher than normal. Probably doesn't do too much damage. Most of the coastline has a little bit of a buffer that would keep that 1 to 3 feet away from anything. But as the storm pulls a little bit farther north into the afternoon, stronger winds and just different circumstances up north could bring in a little bit more of a surge of maybe 3 to 5 feet. That's the latest prediction from the Hurricane Center. So we'll see that maybe up in Homosassa into Crystal River. Looking at the forecast wind speeds, you see, I mean, this has been pretty good with bringing in the wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour. This is at 10 o'clock, and then the storm moves farther north. still working with that west-southwesterly flow. Wind gusts in St. Petersburg and Tampa near 30 to 35 miles per hour. And then continuing to see those wind speeds and wind gusts gradually decrease. It won't be instant, like when you get a thunderstorm and that thunderstorm comes in, you get the gusty conditions and the heavy rain, and then once it clears out, the wind dies down pretty quickly. The winds will continue to be breezy, if not windy, overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, and then gradually tomorrow afternoon you'll notice that the winds become less and less and less and less of a factor. So I think we have to hang tight with it still through the rest of today, and then tonight it'll start to improve a little bit. There up through Tampa Bay, there's that surge graphic, 1 to 3 feet, and then 3 to 5 feet into the Nature Coast and the Big Bend. So we're watching that. We've seen water levels running about a foot to maybe close to 2 feet above normal levels. So you ride those high and low tide cycles and just know that the water will be maybe a foot or two above that, and maybe a little bit higher up the north coast into the Nature Coast. What else we have here? There are the tides. This is for Crystal River. So we've got our next high tide in Crystal River around 5:42. We'll have to watch that timing later on this afternoon as the center of the storm potentially moves just off of Crystal River. And then there's another high tide cycle at 5 tomorrow morning. So that one actually predicted to already just be normally a higher tide. So another opportunity where there could be a little bit of an onshore flow that would bring in some coastal flooding. So we'll watch the Crystal River. St. Petersburg has the next high tide at 4:34. So as that water or that wind blows that water up into the mouth of the bay, there may be a little bit of some coastal flooding some places. Usually, you think about like Shore Acres may see a little bit of that in St. Petersburg, and even some of those parks right downtown, thinking of like Coffee Pot Bayou, may see a little bit of flooding as that water gets pushed up into those little bayous there. So something to keep in mind, but certainly nothing unfamiliar to those places that even could see some flooding on a king tide or something like that. So I think after tomorrow morning, after we hit tomorrow morning's high tide, I think we shouldn't be too much, we should be in the clear for any of those coastal surge concerns. And then, like I said, after tomorrow morning, clearing begins, and it'll still be breezy through the first half of the day, but everything should begin to shape up pretty quickly. I'll do a quick look around the area for any damage reports, but at last check, I haven't seen much. It's, we did get a report of a carport that fell onto a truck in Newport Richey. Aside from that, there really hasn't been any damage reports here locally. Most of the reports that we've gotten in have just been reports saying that, yeah, verified the tropical storm status of Nicole, and reporting those wind speeds and those wind gusts that have been in excess of 40 miles per hour. So that's been the theme so far. There's been a couple of accidents on the road. Nothing that's been too bad. The Skyway Bridge is closed, so that disrupts, people traveling from Pinellas into Manatee and to Hillsborough County and vice versa. So that's been a little bit of an interruption, but generally speaking, I think overall it's been a fairly, it's been a tropical storm, and this is what you would expect. This is a look at the airport over at the Renaissance Hotel, looking across the runways there. Hasn't been a lot of planes taking off. Sarah Rosario was over at the airport earlier this morning, and she said there was a few planes that were sitting on the taxiway, and one of them took off, and the other two never did. So a lot of delays, several cancellations. Hopefully, maybe this afternoon we can start to get some planes in and out here. But right now, it's just not very good for flying. Over in St. Pete, here's a look at our camera at the Mahaffey Theater. This is what it looks like in downtown St. Pete. See the palm trees blowing. Just to get your bearings, we're looking north, and you see how the palm trees are blowing from left to right. So that would be a westerly or at least a northwesterly wind blowing those palm trees. So we're starting to see that wind shift as the storm starts to move north of downtown St. Pete and northwest as well. Let me see where else I can take you. Let me take you to downtown Tampa. This is looking out over Davis Islands. You've got the convention center there at the bottom of the screen, TGH. There, here's TGH right here. There's the convention center. Not as bad as it was earlier. We had a rain band set up right over downtown Tampa earlier on this morning, so better visibility, not the best. I mean, you can hardly see into the bay. You're just looking off into Davis Islands right now and a couple of the channels. But again, not as bad. A couple of people driving across the bridges this morning have said, it was. I've had worse, but it wasn't great. And I think that's kind of been the general theme. Here's the view from on top of our station here at 10 Tampa Bay. Let's see if it's going to pull up. Maybe not. Nope. Okay. We'll go out to St. Pete Beach. Here's St. Pete Beach right now. I'm going to spin this camera and look around a little bit.
Yeah, TSP cams.
How are they?
Those work there. You see.
We certainly don't get those big waves in St. Pete Beach and up along our Gulf Coast very often, but really you can see how the winds have shifted. That northwesterly wind just bringing in that surf onto the coast. In fact, let me...
These dew points, when it gets up over there, it's pulling down. It's going to get in the 50s for dew.
Bobby was just looking at some of the dew points up the Panhandle. Is that Panama?
Panama City 55, 58 Tallahassee. So when this thing later this afternoon gets there, it's going to pull that dry air down and cut the rain off on the back side.
Yeah, let me show you what Bobby's talking about here. You guys just hang tight for just a second.
At least a little bit. Yo.
Let's see. I'm going to pull up a graphic to show you what Bobby's talking about here. Here we go. So Bobby's talking about the dew points, which the dew point is telling you just how much moisture is in the atmosphere. And the higher the dew point, the higher the amount of moisture that's in the air. But with those lower dew points in Panama City, so the storm right now is located right here, right? So as winds around that center of low pressure travel in this direction, what's going to happen is as the storm tracks generally like this dry air is going to get pulled in like this. So that should shut off most of the rain, though what's going to be interesting is, let me pull up a different thing here.
Yeah, there's still that training that's going to happen.
Let's see here, I've got something. So as the low gets up here, so as Nicole gets up into the Nature Coast, while some of this dry air is going to get looped in like that, there'll also be an element of the flow that comes in from the southwest, and that will produce a phenomenon called training, where you get rain that just, it finds a sweet spot, right? So it finds all this moisture, and that general flow is just going to keep producing rain over the same area. And if you think about how a train, it's on the track, right? And those train cars just move over the same place on that track indefinitely until the train stops, of course, or moves on. And that could happen. We'll likely see that. And in fact, our Futurecast model was showing that as we head into this evening, and the storm is well out of here. It's actually up in the Panhandle, if not into Georgia at that point. See how we go into tomorrow morning, and that southwesterly flow taps into that moisture, and you kind of see it happening a little bit there in Manatee County and also in the Nature Coast. But we may see some rains sort of try to move over the same area. So we'll watch that. It's not a guarantee, but it's certainly something that can happen with these tropical systems. Once they clear out, there's still that moisture feed coming in from the south. Quick look here. This is always interesting to do. Kind of take a look at the big picture and just look at the atmosphere from space. Right. This is the water vapor imagery, and as the data loads into the system, you can see how there actually is quite a bit of dry air down over the Keys right now. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think we have. We'll have to look at some of the cameras, but I would not be surprised if the sun is out over South Florida into the Keys. Here's a visible imagery look at Nicole, and you can see. I mean, it's kind of a stream or a field of cumulus clouds over the Everglades right now, and they head down into the Keys. I mean, they're probably just enjoying some sunshine.
Nice breezy
this
day.
morning. Yeah, nice breezy day. It's probably not until maybe Marco Island the clouds start to fill in a little bit. Naples looks like it's pretty socked in still, but nice day over South Florida. All the Keys. Key Largo looking really nice. Miami looking nice. West Palm. And then Fort Pierce, the clouds really start to fill back in. And then here we are, socked in with all those.
Sunshine. Duval Street.
Duval Street,
Key West.
sunshine. There we go. Is that Earth Cam? Or is that Duval Street?
Duval Street, yeah.
Duval Street. Yeah, Duval's got some nice sunshine. But here we are. Tropical storm. I mean, conditions, no doubt about it. I'll try to switch over to a different one. Here we go. So that's the latest, guys. 50-mile-per-hour sustained winds, tropical storm. I mean, probably doesn't weaken too much after that. I think it's going to move into the Gulf, or at least get really close to the Gulf, and just the warmth and the close proximity to the moisture of the Gulf of Mexico will probably be able to sustain it as a tropical storm. If those wind speeds were to drop more than 10 miles per hour, it would drop it down to a tropical depression, and you know that would kind of be the end of it after it moves inland further, if it does move over the Gulf. So it probably stays a tropical storm, but now a very weak tropical storm, though we're still seeing those wind gusts 50 miles per hour, or maybe a little bit more in some spots, but definitely seeing the worst of it now, if not a little bit earlier this morning. And then we'll just gradually, slowly see those conditions improve through this afternoon, tonight, and then eventually we're back to normal, enjoying the weekend by Friday afternoon into Saturday and Sunday. So I'll leave it there, guys, and make sure you tune in about an hour and 10 minutes or so. We'll have a full update for you on 10 Tampa Bay, and you can always stream us on our app. That's the 10 Tampa Bay app. We've got updates that will be coming down on Facebook and YouTube, and of course our website on 10tampabay.com as well. So a lot of places to get the information, more information coming. I'm sure we'll start to get more of those damage reports as people are able to get out and start kind of looking around and seeing what's going on, whether that's a fence or maybe some damage to houses or some trees down and that kind of thing. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of that, but we will see. So stay safe, take care, and if you don't have to go out, don't. I don't think that there's really any need to. The conditions just really aren't that great out there this morning. So take it easy, enjoy your Thursday, and again, we'll be in touch. Take care.